This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon and welcome, boys and girls from Shelton Park Elementary. You've been with us before, and Diamond Springs, your first time. Welcome to Safari Live. We're all the way up here in Kenya, in the Mara Triangle, Maasai Mara, and we are with two big male lions. And well, good afternoon. My name is Steve. I'm joined on camera by Big James, and well, these are two very big males that, well, you can see they're enjoying a little bit of the shade underneath the tree over there. There's not too much shade at the moment. They've probably been moving and moving and moving, but their bellies are very, very full. Sometime last night, these two male lions and three female lions managed to catch a buffalo, a big African Cape buffalo, and well, they ate it. So their bellies, you see how big they are enormous. And both of these two males are probably going to spend the rest of the day and the night right over here. The only thing that will cause them to move is maybe if they need the toilet, or if they're going to walk over to a little spring to get something to drink. Please ask your teacher any questions you'd like. Send them through. She'll send them through for you. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you'd like to talk about with lions. And there are others out later this afternoon who are with me shortly, and they'll be finding other interesting facts for you to talk about. And talking about that, it's not only myself in Kenya, in the Mara. My good friend David Gitu is just around the corner.
Hello, boys and girls, and a very big welcome to our afternoon drive from the Maasai Mara, Kenya. You just spoke to Steve. My name is David, and with me on camera today is Bungei. Good afternoon, Bungei. Are you excited for the kids today? What do you want for the kids, number one? Let's find out what Bungei has for you. Look at that, boys and girls. And that is the tallest animal in the whole world. You see that? We are going to estimate how tall you think she is. But these are giraffes, and giraffes will always go in groups or in families that we call herds. That particular one must be very hungry. You can see she is definitely eating some leaves, and an elephant is going to say hello to the giraffe, just like I did. Remember, boys and girls, we are very happy when we hear questions from you, or when you have some nice comments like, why is that giraffe going in that direction? So through your teachers, please send us as many questions as you'd like. And should you have any comments, please send them through your teachers again, and that will be our joy. Okay, let's count together how many giraffes you got here. 5, and there are more. And you see, they're all going in one direction. But when they eat like that one, if you look carefully, they are not eating the grass. There's a lot of grass there, but they are not bothered. Because giraffes, we call them browsers. Browsers are animals that will eat twigs or leaves or small branches. Maddox, very good. You're the first one to ask me a question, and you like to know, how long is a giraffe neck? A giraffe neck is just about 2 meters long, or about 6 feet long. That's a very good question. And anybody who asks me how long a giraffe is, I'll always give him or her a very big high five or clap, all the way from Africa. So it's about 2 meters long. And Maddox, just to let you know, the legs of the giraffe are almost the same height as the neck. Now, I want all of you boys and girls to touch the back of your necks. All of you, and your teachers will help you to touch the backs of your necks. And we got some bones behind, or some bones on your necks. Try and count how many they are. And your teachers will definitely tell you giraffes got 7 vertebrae bones on their necks. So before we talk about the elephants, I want each one of you to guess or think, how many do giraffes got? We human beings got 7. So you have seen the giraffe, you have seen the long neck. So let's find out how long or how many giraffes, how many vertebrae bones giraffes would get. We'll come back to this elephant later. You see that's a big mammal, the largest mammal in the world. But before we talk about it, or before we have more look of it, we'll take you all the way to South Africa to another gentleman to say hello to all of you.
Look at this very tall animal. You can see he's just now standing by the sun at the moment. He is also having some of the birds right on him now. These birds are not looking for the lift. A very, very good afternoon and welcome, boys and girls. My name is Sydney Pumunani Mikosi and I'm traveling with Senzo, who is my camera operator this afternoon. We are going to try by all means and get to see quite a lot of animals. And please ask your teachers to ask us questions on Twitter, #SafariLive. So you can see this giraffe has got some bears there. A marine, giraffe's neck are so tall, and if you can just try and calculate the meters, you will see that is about 1.8 meters to 2 meters. Reason is for the better accessibility of the trees. Giraffes, they eat trees, and trees can grow much higher. For them to reach the leaves, to reach the top of the trees, they must have to be long enough to get there. That is why the body is so long. So those birds you are seeing there now on top of that giraffe is the ones who are there to clean him, because these animals, sometimes they do get parasite. So now let's quickly get to the Maasai Mara, where David is having giraffes playing with the elephants. Amazing.
Boys and girls, welcome back, and you're very lucky we had a giraffe in Kenya or in East Africa, and then you had more giraffes in South Africa with Sydney. And I'm sure all of you now have figured out my question. How many vertebrae bones, how many bones do giraffes have on their necks? I gave you a clue and I told you human beings have 7. And just to let you know, even the giraffes got 7. Giraffes are very huge and very big. Now, Bungei, where are our elephants? And before we took you to South Africa, we had seen another big mammal. The giraffes, I told you, are the tallest animals in the world. But now we have the largest mammal on land. Because in the world, if we talk of the largest mammal, we might talk of the blue whale. But on land or outside water, elephants are the largest. Just see how she's opening her ears. If Bungei, you stick on her ears a little bit. Do you see that, boys and girls? Elephants will do that to cool off. Naya, I'll tell you, elephants are very playful animals, or you're asking whether elephants are playful. When they have eaten and they have drunk enough water and they are all full, you'll always see if they get into some water and they are wallowing, you'll see them jumping up and down or just wallowing and rolling in the water. Just to answer your question, Naya, elephants are very playful animals when they are in the right position. So look carefully and notice how she keeps flapping her ears. And the reason she is doing that is to cool off. You see the small one there throwing a bit of dust in the air. So the elephant's ears, that's where all the cooling of the blood is done. See the size of those ears there? So the mother flaps and the baby elephant flaps. A baby elephant is called a calf. So as she holds them out like that, that helps a lot of air just to blow on the ears, and that cools the ears. Sky, very good question. What do elephants eat? That's a very good question. Elephants are animals that are called herbivores. Herbivores are animals that eat green matter. And it could be anything from grass, as you can see them there. They're eating grass. They could also be eating leaves. And sometimes you'll see them eating barks of trees. A little bit different between them and a giraffe. I see the giraffe walking through there. Because the giraffes are also herbivores, but they rarely eat grass. Giraffes will only eat the leaves or the twigs, as I said before, but elephants will eat everything. Twigs, leaves, grass, and some tree bark. Giraffes tend to specialize on leaves, and giraffes got one very big advantage. Because they're the tallest animals, they are able to eat the leaves that are on top of the trees, which other animals cannot reach. Zachary, a full-grown elephant would weigh, for example, if it's a male, anything like 12,000 pounds, and females will weigh about 7,000 pounds. Some of them weigh more than a car. You would imagine 12,000 pounds. That's a bigger weight, or is a heavy weight, more than of a car. Can you believe it? And also to let you know, when looking at elephants with a big weight, elephants also have the longest gestation period. Gestation period is the time taken to bring down the baby you see on the left there. So the baby you see on the left there was in the mother's womb for almost 2 years. Can you believe it? 22 months to be exact. So elephants, very heavy animals, but also have very long gestation periods, the time they take to bring down the babies. They eat so much food, and because they eat so much, most of the time, you'll find them eating throughout. And they also go in groups, just like giraffes, that we call herds. One interesting thing about the elephants are led by a female. A female, I'm talking of a girl, and it's always the oldest girl in the group. Unlike the giraffes, which are not led by a female or a girl. How beautiful is that, boys and girls? So they'll keep flapping their ears just to cool off, but at the same time, they keep eating. Now, I'll take you to my other friend who have some cats and find out whether they're still sleeping or they're doing anything.
Thanks, David. Well, we're still with our lions, and you haven't missed much, boys and girls. All they've done is basically breathe a bit and not even move. So that's about it. You can see all of the flies on the face of that lion. You see, lions' faces get very, very dirty because when they eat meat, so they get their faces right inside animals, and they get all that blood and the dirt on their face. So I think that's what the flies are doing. They're busy enjoying a little bit of food on the lion's face. As disgusting as that might sound, the lions aren't even bothered by the flies. But you can tell that is a big male lion. You see all the big hair around the head. It's called the mane, and that is generally what you use to identify male versus female. Can you say that name again, please, Emma, about a snake eating a lion? It's a very interesting question. I don't know of snakes eating lions. Greed, you want to know if lions have ever been eaten by snakes? Well, there are some very big snakes, such as pythons, which potentially could eat a baby lion, a little lion cub. But a big male lion like this, there's absolutely no chance. They're just too big and strong, and well, they bite and they can claw. So if anything, the snake would move off, or the snake would get eaten by the lion. Look at that belly. Isn't that incredible? So a baby lion that left sort of hidden away by mum could potentially get bitten by a snake, but maybe not eaten by a snake. Aidan, you want to know what lions eat? Well, lions are predators, so they are carnivores. They feed on meat. Oh, he's rolled over. There we go. That was a whole lot of effort. Lions eat meat, so they eat buffalo, giraffe, like you saw just before, and lots of other small antelope. We'll see if we can find them for you. But when lions come together in a group like this with two big males, they've got a very good chance of catching giraffe and buffalo, because giraffe are very, very big and very strong. So are buffalo. So with the strength of these two males, there's a good chance that they're able to catch them and bring them down. On their own, females aren't really strong enough, on the most part, to catch big animals like giraffe and buffalo. But when the boys come to town, there's a lot more strength. And then there's also a lot more food. If you catch something that's very big, there's lots more to go around. That is the way it works. But then once they've caught it, all the effort that took, well, then lions will spend days sleeping it off, because it is a lot of food in the belly. Hello Trey, you want to know about lions' noses? They do have a very good sense of smell, and I've actually followed a lion that had lost its family for about maybe 3 or 4 miles, and it was following the smell of the tracks on the floor. And there's some more flies around their face, and it was actually smelling where the other animals had put their feet, and it was walking, and it found them by smelling the ground, almost like a bloodhound. Now, I'm not saying that their noses are as strong as that of bloodhounds and dogs, but lions living out here, they use their nose a lot, because they smell animals on the wind, and then they look for them through that direction, because the wind brings the smell. The animals out here aren't able to bath and clean themselves, so they've all got a very particular kind of smell. I'm sure you've smelt your dog before if it hasn't been bathed. It's got a very specific type of smell, doesn't it? And so the lions will go, "Ooh, I smell giraffe on the wind, let's go that direction," or "I smell buffalo," and then they'll go that direction. And it's very easy for them to do that. But then also, they've got very good eyesight and very good hearing. Those are the 3 categories you need if you want to be a good hunter. You need to be able to see, hear, and smell. And that is what allows them to get such a big, full belly. Isn't that enormous belly? It's almost like they've had a Christmas party. Hello, Sky. You want to know how lions clean themselves? Well, generally, they will wipe themselves or lick their paw. Have you ever seen a normal cat? Have any of you boys and girls got a normal little pussy cat back home, a domestic cat? See how they lick their paw and then they wipe their face? That is what lions do. They'll also lick wherever else they can on their body, and then the places that they can't reach on their face, lions will lick each other on their head and on the face. If you've ever had more than one cat, you'll see how they do groom each other. It's very important for lion society. These 2 boys, well, they've grown up together and they spend all their time together, so they need to make sure that their bonds of friendship are very close. And the best way to do that is to groom and to lick each other's faces. I wonder if any of you have ever thought about licking your friend's face. For what an interesting concept, isn't it? Look at your best friend in your class right now and think about licking their face. Would you do it? Probably not, but that's what lions do. They clean the blood off the faces, and then they also help to remove any ticks that they might have on their head. I'm not encouraging you to lick each other, boys and girls, but can you imagine how close you'd have to be as a friend to actually be willing to let your friend lick you on the face? You'd have to be very, very close friends, I think. But for now, these lions are sleeping. So what we're going to do, it is warm in the daytime, so we're going to move off shortly and go find something else. Kaiten, you want to know if lions like water? Well, some lions in Botswana, which is a country just north of South Africa, there's lions up in the Okavango Delta, which is a big swamp, and some of the lions there actually swim because they live in an environment that's very, very wet. But those are the only lions I know that do that. All the other lions I've ever seen in my life are actually quite afraid of water. They don't like it. They drink it, but they don't like the water at all. They won't swim unless they're really, really have to. But they can swim, but they just don't like water, just like a normal, typical cat. Okay, very good. Well, we're going to move on from these lions because they're not being very exciting, are they? We're going to go find you some animals that are actually doing something. How does that sound? Very good. Okay, well, while we move off away from these very heavy fat lions, let's go back over to David, who's just over there somewhere. Let's see what he's found.
Very good, boys and girls. I left my elephants and I'm trying to look for something else. But before I do that, I want to show you something I did. Bungay, are you able to get to that tree there on the base? It's too close. Okay, there. Boys and girls, I want to show you something on the base of that tree. Very good. If you look carefully on the screen, there, you see there is some animal poo on it, and that has been done by hippos. I'm sure most likely if you're lucky before the end of the day, we might get some hippos for you. And hippos will always come out of the water and they will just poo there, marking the territory they feed on. Can you believe it? So if other hippos come there and smell that, they will know someone else has been there. It's like someone came with a brush and just painted poo on that tree. But those are hippos. They come, stand, and turn around, and they do their business there. And if you look carefully, there's some ants just walking on top of it. And those ants might be looking for something to eat at the base of that tree. All right, Mr. Wilson, that's a very good question. As we move on, hoping we might get some hippos for you. In general, hippos will stay in the water. And we know most animals that will live in water, including fish, whales, dolphins, do not have hair because hair would be an encumbrance for them while in water in terms of movement. And I would say for that reason, that's why also hippos do not have any hair. All right, boys and girls, I want to show you the beauty of the Maasai Mara. We're going to pan round and show you the big difference between the Mara and Juma. And now you're asking, where do hippos live? Hippos live in the water. Hippos will live in the water because hippos do not have what we call sweat glands. And because they cannot breathe to bring down the body temperatures, they must stay in cold water so that they don't get so hot. If they get so hot, they would easily die. Now just look at the beauty of the Mara Triangle. And you can see here we do not have a lot of vegetation cover, unlike in Juma, where we have Sydney. In the Maasai Mara, we have one vegetation that is very famous, that is called the savanna. And I'm sure all of you have heard the savanna, or your teachers will be talking to you later to explain to you what savanna is exactly. Remember, boys and girls, keep sending your questions. You are really exciting us by your nice questions. Or if you have any comments, please send them through your teachers. A few weeks ago, all this area that Bungay is showing you was filled by animals called wildebeest. Now, this is one of the differences between Juma landscape and the Mara landscape. Here you have more open grounds, but you'll have one forest here or a forest there, a bush here, a bush there, one tree here or a tree there. But when you look at the land features of Juma in South Africa, they are more of thickets and they have bigger vegetations than we got here. So you would imagine a few weeks ago, as I said earlier, we had so many wildebeest in this area that had covered all the grass here. This grass was about 6 feet high, but now it has all been mowed down by the wildebeest, and they have gone to another country south of Kenya called Tanzania. All right, we'll keep moving and hopefully we're going to see more stuff. So keep crossing your fingers, boys and girls. Keep asking questions. And now let me find out if you have one or two questions for Sydney in South Africa.
The Maasai Mara has got the green grass at the moment, and we are slowly following. Yes, the vegetation here by the Juma Game Reserve, it is still dry at the moment, but looking at the grasses here next to me, I can see that the greener pasture, the greener grass for the animals to eat are starting to come back. David, we are following you. Anytime soon, we are also going to be green. So I am now heading towards one of the biggest dams in the area, where I'm hoping to find some other animals drinking there this afternoon. So when the sun is hot like this, Diamond Spring. I like that name because we have just gone past the spring season. Now we are heading towards the summer season, which is the rainy season. So we are about to receive the heavy rains at the moment as the country. So anytime soon, it's going to rain heavily, and our dams are going to start to have the natural waters, and some of the seasonal rivers are going to start to get water again. And animals are going to give birth after the rain. So you can see that animals are not here where I'm driving at the moment, because when it's hot like this, it's when they must go to the water holes, as I indicated. That is why I am going to the water hole, because that is where I might find quite a lot at the moment. Trey, the hippopotamus, that is the only sighting I can guarantee today. We are going to see the hippopotamus, and hippopotamus, they love water because of the sun. The hippopotamus, they don't have set glands like we do. When we hot, we do secrete some lot of water from the body in order to regulate or to control the temperature. So the hippopotamus, they must have to use water in order to prevent sunburn. But their body has got kind of a secretion which helps them in order to act as a sunblock to prevent sunburn. So here where I'm driving is not very close to the water hole, but hippos, I saw their tracks. They can reach this far. They can leave the dams and go 30 kilometers away, long distance, looking for grass. And now and chase the hippopotamus. Oh, there is I think there is an aircraft passing here. I can hear there's quite a lot of noise. It was difficult for me to get the names, but the question, I got it nicely. The hippopotamus don't eat the water monitors. They are herbivores. The herbivores are the animals who feed on vegetation, and they are grazers specifically. So they've got very big teeth, and those teeth, sometimes people are confused as if they are very big weapons for them in order to catch something to eat. They don't do that. Yes, for defense, if something wants to attack them, they use those big teeth in order to protect themselves, but they eat grass. So now let's go back to the Maasai Mara. David has got the buffaloes at the moment, buffaloes who are enjoying the greener grass.
All right, boys and girls, we got something new for you, and this is what we call the African buffalo, or another name for it is the Cape buffalo. Look at him carefully and see who is on his nose. and what he is doing. That little bird there is called an oxpecker. And what she is doing, she is trying to get rid of all the ticks, mites or parasites that could be in his nose. How does that feel? You know how once in a while you feel your nose being itchy? Buffaloes would feel the same. But because they can't put their fingers in the nose, and because the buffaloes cannot put their fingers or their toes, because they don't have any toes like us, those birds do help them. So, yes, Jean, to answer your question, these birds, what they do, they help clean the buffaloes of all those parasites that would be bothering them. Now, you look carefully there. If, the bird has gone to another buffalo, and I'm sure she finished eating all the ticks in the previous one, and now she's going to find out if this one has any of those ticks. And you can see her just pecking. Their beaks are like scissors, so they just like walk through the skin and grab the ticks out. Now, I wanted to show you a small white bird. You see that white bird there? That bird is called an egret. And what she's doing, she's waiting for some insects to jump up from the grass. Now, when these buffaloes will start walking, they're going to disturb the grass. And as they disturb the grass, you'll get some insects like grasshoppers or locusts or any other type of insect you think of jumping up and down, or even a moth or a butterfly. And then those birds will be jumping up and catching them. See how clever they are? Shannon, the white bird, is called a cattle egret, and the smaller one that's getting the ticks out of the buffaloes is called an oxpecker. And we have two types. One is called red-billed oxpecker, and the other one is the yellow-billed oxpeckers. If you look at her carefully now, she's right inside the ear. Would you imagine someone going in your ear and trying to get something out? But look at that buffalo. He is not even bothered. I am saying a he because I can tell for a fact it is a male. Zach, buffaloes are animals that will sometimes eat very quickly. They cut the grass and they swallow without chewing. Then after some time, they'll get the same grass out from their stomach to their mouth and re-chew it or chew it better. Like that one you see there, what he is chewing is not what he just got from the ground or from the grass, is what he had got before. So to be able to chew nicely, they will sit down and then they are going to re-chew the same grass that they had eaten before and then make it more fine. I was saying this, I can say for a fact it is a male, because if you look at the base of his horns, they're very big and wide. Females have much smaller horns than the ones you see here. They got much thinner horns than the one you can see. Look at those two oxpeckers, how they're resting there. Tristram, why do buffaloes have horns? Now, horns in most animals, they will use them to fight or to defend themselves. And more so the males. Males, I'm talking about the boys. In general, the girls do not fight. It's the boys who will once in a while have a small fight, and they will use the horns to go for each other. That's why they have the horns, either to fight or defend themselves. So one is just moving there, and you can see he's getting a bit irritated now by the oxpecker. Miss Wilson, how many what? Sorry? The buffalo, I think it got 4 stomachs. I think that was your question, Miss Wilson. And a buffalo is a ruminant. It got 4 chambers stomach. Sorry, Emma. It got 4 stomachs. the rumen or possum, and all ruminants in general will have four-chambered stomach. Four-chambered stomach, and that will be in all the ruminants. So what they're doing now, because it's a bit warm, that's why they're chewing cud. All right, from a buffalo, let's find out what Steve got.
Look at what we found, boys and girls. It's very, very special. Have a look. It is a very big grey animal. But I want you to look towards the left in the middle of the bush. You can see, there we go. It's going to stick its head out. It's busy feeding on the bush right now, but you might get to see its face. I wonder if you've ever seen one of these before. They are very, very special. And they like to eat trees, just like the giraffe does, just like the elephant as well. But for now, it's hiding its head. It's not shy. If it was shy, it would have run away by now, but it actually feeds on the branches and twigs and leaves of the tree. So it shapes it quite nicely, just like some of you back home have probably got people who cut the trees in the garden, make them into sort of hedges. Well, this is exactly what this animal does. Can you see in the middle of the screen, it's kind of the head is moving in the bush there. And there's it's wagging its tail. It's very relaxed. It's busy nibbling at the branches. Have you seen one of these before? I wonder if you know what it is. Hopefully it's going to pop its head out for us shortly and you'll be able to see exactly what it is. And there's an elephant off to the left, just so that you know it is not an elephant. It's much smaller, in fact, than an elephant. That elephant's got a baby. Look at that. They are also moving through the long grass and feeding on the branches and the twigs and the leaves. But this animal is only feeding on the branches of the tree. And I wonder if it's going to come out and show itself to you. This is the only view we've really got, I'm afraid. So we're just going to have to wait. That is what happens out in this African wilderness. Have you never seen one before? Well, there are not many of them left in the world, and it's because, unfortunately, people want to take parts of it for all sorts of weird and wonderful things. So it's a very, very sad story, but up here in the Mara, they are being conserved quite nicely, and there are rangers that are following these animals around to make sure that they are safe from poaching. And he's hiding more and more in the bush. There you can see on the front. I'm going to move forward a few meters and see if maybe we can get in the front of it there. James. Okay, well, while we get a little bit further forward and see if we can get this one's face, Sydney's got a whole bunch of hippos.
And look at that, I've got a group of the hippopotamus here, normally referred as a school of hippopotamus. That is how we call a group of hippopotamus. So these hippos, is quite a lot of them. I have counted more than 20 hippos at the moment right by this dam. It's quite a very big dam, and they are all now enjoying the water. Look at that. Look at this whole big body going down underwater. It's quite a very big animal, and they can completely disappear underwater. But they don't disappear underwater for a long time. Michael, the hippopotamus can weigh a lot. They can weigh up to 600 and something kilograms. So that is quite a lot. So look at that, this very big one. So if you look at these animals, sometimes you will see them with the oxpeckers. So the males, you can easily distinguish between, look at that one, that is how the hippopotamus excrete their droppings. They excrete and wipe with the tail. Look at that. Oh, there's a baby following. Look at that. The baby is following right there at the back. The hippopotamus, they cannot really swim. These animals, they run underwater. Listen to that. That is how they make a call. So these animals can go very fast, and also on land they can run up to 36 kilometers per hour, and that is too fast. So you can see the little ones are following there. So now let's quickly go back to the rhino. The sighting of the rhino is developing by the Maasai Mara at the moment.
Look at that. It's come out of the bushes, boys and girls. Can you see its face now? Oh, now it's looking away. Have a look at its face and the two big horns on the top. Come on, turn left again, mister. There's a big bull, a big male, a black rhinoceros. How amazing is that? They are one of the endangered species on the African continent, and they are feeding. They like to feed on bushes, and there are not that many of them left in Africa, I'm afraid, because of the horn. Lots and lots of people want the horn, all sorts of crazy reasons, but they are very beautiful animals to watch. You can see he's busy, got his head in there, using its lip to break off the branches. Maddock, hello. You want to know why rhinos have horns? Well, first of all, rhinos, when they fight, they use their horns for fighting each other, almost like a sword, except they put all of the weight behind themselves. So a black rhino fighting another black rhino, well, they can potentially kill each other with that horn. There we go. That's a fantastic shot. And also, if lions happen to want to mess with them, or mess with their babies, they could turn around and chase them off. So that is the reason for the horns. It's all for fighting and defense. The elephants have got their tusks, the males for fighting, the females for a bit of defense, and as well for breaking the bark off of trees. But the rhino horn is all there just for fighting and defense. There's no real other purpose for it. But without the horn, the rhino really struggles in their environment. There we go. Look at the size difference. Sky rhinos don't have paws. They've got a big foot with 3 really big toes. I don't have a tracking book with me now, but I'm sure Sydney, because they do lots of tracks down in South Africa, has probably got I do have a book of a rhino's foot, because he's hiding in the bushes there, but we're going to stay with him as long as we can. Now those elephants are getting a little bit closer to him. Might end up trying to chase him away, just because, they've got some babies and they kind of see the rhino maybe as being a little bit in the way, so they might try and chase him off. But I'll show you a picture of the rhino's foot. Here we go. I've got a good one here. But that's a beautiful shot. I'll show you afterwards, because this could be interesting. Let's see what that female's going to do with her tusks. See, she's interested in the rhino there, and she might chase him away. But those tusks are very sharp, very powerful. And if she wanted to, she could push them into the rhino. But invariably, he would move away. You see that? He knows who's the bigger one. And the elephant has just gone and chased him into the bushes. That's a big female elephant on the left, and that rhino is about as big as they get. They don't get any bigger than that. Probably about close to 4,000 pounds, maybe 3,500 pounds. That female elephant is close to 8. So there's really not much that he can do to try and defend himself against such a big animal. But it's because she's got youngsters that she just was like, move out of my way, please. But he's not too bothered now. He's turned his back as if to say, I don't care. But if you can see his ears are listening. He'll be able to hear the elephant coming up behind him and be able to know, she wants to do me harm, and then he'll just disappear into the bush. They can run very quickly. They can run almost 20, maybe 22 miles an hour. That's very quick, isn't it? There we go. She's very close now. This is very cool. I've never ever seen an elephant so close to a black rhino before. I haven't seen many black rhino in my life. I've spent lots of time with a white rhino, but not too much with the black rhino. There we go. She's basically said, okay, I'm happy. He's not causing any trouble. Let's leave him to feed. As the family of elephants is now going to walk on past. And you see them using their nose. Okay, well, thank you to both of the schools for joining us this afternoon. I hope we've been able to teach you lots and lots. I'm so excited I was able to show you a black rhino. I just marvel at how they are there with the elephant. What a marvelous scene this is up in the Maasai Mara. Thank you for joining us and all your wonderful questions. We will see you next time, and thank you. Have a good day. And on that note, we're going to be going back over to David, who's managed to find lots of striped zebra.
Very good. A warm welcome to our regular viewers. We have the head, the bottoms of a zebra that's just walking to the other side of that warthog. And my guess that could be a male warthog. He is huge by any standard. You can see the size of his tusks. And not sure they're eating the same food, because the warthogs tend to dig for some tubers or roots of grass to feed on, but I believe the zebras here are eating the short grass. Funny, the warthog will like flick its tail like once in a long time, and the zebra has a busy tail. Chew, left, right. Such a reflex, because sometimes even when we look very closely with the cameras, we never see the flies. And the theory of, like, they will always do this to keep away would-be predators. But before we talk more about the zebras, I think Sydney in South Africa has an interesting bird.
So you can see there I've got one of the beautiful birds. This is the African darter. He just came out from the water just now. And these birds are one of those birds who come out from the water wet because they are lacking of a special preening gland, which is called a uropygeal gland, a gland which is responsible for waterproof as well. That is why he must have to use the sun in order to dry the feathers. So these birds can go underneath water and try by all means and grab the fish. They eat fish. Sometimes you'll see them struggling to swallow some of the big fishes. So the school group just closed now. Before, I rectified a slip of the tongue when I said the hippopotamus weigh 600 to 700 kilograms, 1,600 to 1,700 kilograms. So look at that. So you can see this is quite a beautiful bird. Look at that long neck. Kimberly, this is a great bird indeed. Look at that. So you can see that this bird is drying itself right by the little island there, which is also used by the hippopotamus and the crocodiles as well. So the hippopotamus at this stage. So now let's go back to Steve by the Maasai Mara, who is now having a look at the rhinos.
Welcome back, everybody. We have still got this black rhino. This is super, super exciting. I am so amazed that the elephants moved him off a little bit, but then that was it. The family of elephant is still very close by, but we're watching this black rhino doing his thing. Very, very special indeed to be able to spend time out here with these endangered animals. And that is the third time coming into the marsh in a row finding a black rhino. So the record is really, statistically we're doing very well. Yes, well, the ears are notched. Generally, the best way to identify the rhino, the best way people will identify them, is by doing very specific type of notches on their ears. There'll always be a pattern. There'll be certain notches on the right and then certain ones on the left. And during doing that, because they've obviously been darted and translocated here, you see on the left, on the right, there's a specific one there, and then on the left there's a couple other ones. There's a code that whoever is working with the animals knows exactly which species or which individual it is, and they can go into the hundreds depending on what they've done on either side with regards to a pattern. So it is cut by a vet, but it means that by taking a photo here, you can quite easily identify exactly who it is. Now, how interesting is that? It looks like he's eating some grass, or is that just a little forb? It's coming out. A very prehensile lip, which is pulling everything he needs into his mouth. A little bit of fiber, I suppose. You see how small his eyes are. He's going to the other side of the bush. That's where the elephants are. Hello, Rosalind. You want to know how black rhinos communicate? It is the strangest sound. They make these very high-pitched squealing noises, like a... I'm not doing a very good job, but black and white rhino have got the strangest sound. You would not think it comes from a rhino, but it does indeed. It's a squealing sort of high-pitched sound, and they've actually put some hidden cameras or hidden microphones in Etosha Pan, in the top north of Namibia, where there's lots of black rhino. And what they've realized is that the black rhino actually at night come out into these open areas and they sing. They sing to each other. They become very social, something that no one ever thought happened. We all thought these are solitary animals, but they come onto the open. They've got these acoustic cameras with infrared lights, and they watch the rhinos from a distance, and they see and they listen to them singing and doing their thing. It's very, very special. Well, we're still here with these elephants. I'm just going to duck down out of the way. Elephants and rhino. What a special, special place this is. Okay, well, we're going to stay and see if we can get another view of this black rhino, but I think he might be disappearing into the thickets. But in the meantime, we're going to fly all the way back down to South Africa with Sydney, who's got a goose, or is it a duck?
So you can see now that the goose are busy now enjoying water bathing. You can see when they come out, water is not sticking there. So these ones, they have got the uropygeal gland. You can see that they come out wet. The water, you can see that it's just spreading everywhere as they are moving in there. So the goose has got a very interesting behavior when they want to divert an attention of the predator to their babies. They do what normally the plovers does when they are acting as if one wing is broken, which is called a destructive behavior. It's a behavior which is done to distract an attention of the predator in order to focus on the adults as if they are broken and they are an easy meal before they fly away. Lauren, the Egyptian goose are so very much lovely. Listen to them making a call, and their feet are so very well adapted for them to walk in water and on land. So now I am going to be leaving the Chitwa and go back to Juma in order to see if I can find something very interesting there in the form of a cat. Look at that. The fish eagle is there as well. He is now just resting somewhere there. I'm sure maybe he's done with fishing for the day, or else he might again look for something to eat. This is also one of the Africa's beautiful birds, and I like the call they make. They make a lovely call. So I'm just going to pull back here and then see if we can get to the areas such as the Buffelshoek Dam, where I left Tingana this morning. Osana was also in the same area. We might be lucky with any of these two cats. So now let's cross over to the Maasai Mara, where a friend of mine, David, is having something at the moment.
Well, welcome back to the Mara Triangle, and we're seeing one of the birds sometimes that we call one of the ugly five. I do not know how they coined the ugly five, but this is a marabou stock. A marabou stock, and I guess she or he is just drying herself or himself up on that dry, dead tree. Could be dry, but maybe not dead because it's still standing, but I don't see any sign of life on it. The marabou stocks tend to scavenge a lot, and most likely it must have spent a lot of time on the ground, or it was in the water for the better part of the day, and it's time to dry herself, and she came out. Zephyr, that's a great comment, and I'm sure Bungay will take you back there to see for real that once in a while marabou stocks will go in a tree. In Kenya, our capital city is called Nairobi, and when you arrive in Kenya to do a safari and you drive from the airport to a city hotel, there is a particular road that is called Uhuru Highway, and it got some very huge thorn trees, what we used to call acacia trees, and you'll get almost in each one of them, Zena, will have anything from 10 to 20. Did you hear that, Zena? 10 to 20 of these marabou stocks. Can you believe it? And if you look carefully, she got like white legs, and not because their legs are white, but when they poop, they tend to tilt in a particular angle so that the poop can just like drag along its leg, and that helps them to cool off. She's definitely just trying to preen herself or her feathers, and you see that huge pocket right below the neck. More often than not, the males will use that during plumage or when they're breeding, and it just balloons with air, and it's always very red, and that helps to excite the girls as much as both sexes will have it. Look at it, but males will have much bigger than the females. So definitely you can tell she is not in breeding plumage, and the sack is just a bit flat now. Hippo, not really. I mean, some of them are about a meter long while standing on the ground. But if I would come out and they're on the ground and, I walk, close to them, Hippo will tell you they're not aggressive to humans, and they'll tend always to walk away. And just like most scavengers, including the vultures, they always tend to walk away. Very few birds will come to you, but certain birds have very strong beaks. If, of course, you corner it and it would feel threatened, I can tell you that beak is very strong. They got very strong beaks because when they scavenge, they need to hit their prey very hard. We have seen them sometimes, preying on herons, and they have to hit them very hard to kill them before they can devour them. All right, it's time. She continues grooming herself and aligning her feathers as we move on to look for more stuff. So my plan is today to get some more lions and more active lions than the ones Steve had before. Or if I am lucky, I might see another black rhino. Black rhinos, as Steve was saying, they tend to love some thickets, and that's exactly where we are. But I'm sure, speak of the devil, I have spotted my own lioness. This is very lucky. There's one lioness. 10 seconds after I spoke about lions? Bungay, don't you think we are lucky? And maybe another one. Let's first have a look at this one here. And how are you, lady? Look at her. I might be finding out what pride this is, because in the Mara Triangle we know how many prides we got, and having seen many times we are able to know which ones they are. And Emma in the final control says gorgeous, and I think this could be more alive than the ones Steve had earlier. She's just playing with flies there, and I am guessing this territory, whoops, she wakes up, she walks, and there's a pride of lions that live in this area that we call the Mogoro, and they're always 3 girls together. I can see the other one from a distance. Oh, she lays down, giving us the backside. Very typical for lions to go flat. This is no exception. And we're going to move forward a little bit. You see the other one there? Very good. Well done, Bungay. I can't see any mane on that one, and I'm guessing this could be the sister or the first cousin of this. And if that will be the case, this will be the Mogoro. Samson, you're asking if cats ever hunt rhinos. If they do, then that would be baby rhinos, but not fully grown, I would say, rhinos. It's very difficult. Rhinos are big, they got very thick skins, and chances of big cats like lions going for them, I would say, it is 0. In general, what I would want to believe, I saw a scenario sometimes back where a pride of lions were going for a baby rhino, and the mother of that baby fought back very aggressively. So this pride is, whoops, there are more. It's not even 1, it is 2, it is 3, it is 4. Oops. We'll very quickly have a look at this. I was talking of 3 lionesses, but now I think I am seeing 10. And before I confirm what pride this is, let's first go to Steve.
Well done, David. I wonder if you have found the Awino pride that we were looking for yesterday. I think David did say he was going to a similar sort of area that I went yesterday, so I'm thinking maybe he has just stumbled upon them, and that is the way it works. Just keep moving from area to area and keep searching, and maybe you will find and be lucky. Well, here we have got an enormous Eland bull that, well, he's hiding behind the termite mound now, but what we saw before, I spotted him from a distance. I thought he was an elephant initially, but he's not an elephant. He's an eland. I'm just going to move back a few paces so we can actually get a proper view of him, because he's been in the open this entire time, obviously, until now. And now he's Whoa! Now he's hiding. There he is. A little bit more. Are you happy, James? A little bit more? Okay. There he is. Beautiful, beautiful eland bull. And he's doing a bit of mixed feeding at the moment. Look at the beautiful sky. There he is. He's feeding on a little forb. Very delicate with those lips of his, isn't he? His horns, he's been doing a little bit of adornation. Something that many horned mammals will do, the males that is they'll rub their heads in mud to make themselves look even bigger than they are already. And some, like kudu, will actually thrash bushes and have branches attached to their horns, and it makes them look a little bit more formidable. There he is, busy feeding quite deliberately in that bush. He's giving it a proper go, isn't he? Constantly wagging the tail. Completely dwarfs the zebra behind. Bob, that's a really good question. The dewlap on the eland's neck, we believe, is a fat reserve. It might also add a little bit of weight to the animal, but the purpose of it exactly is hard to say. I suppose when he's in really good condition, it'll probably build up a bit and get a little bit more sort of bulky and sort of juicy, but I really am not 100% sure what the dewlap is for. But look at those shoulders. That is just muscle, ladies and gentlemen, and that individual can jump a 12-foot fence easily with no effort at all. And they run very quickly and then can jump. That is their primary defense against predators. But a big male like that fighting against a male of equal size is a proper battle of the giants. Oh, there's an ostrich. There we go. Ostrich has just photobombed us. MGN, you want to know the shoulder height of a Eland bull? Well, they're pretty big. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. I'm just going to have to quickly investigate that for you. And thankfully, I've got my trusty little guide over here. But while we're watching him move through, now he's feeding on some grass, feeding on some leaves, trees, whatever it is that he comes across. Where is an Eland in this book? Okay, 110. Sorry about that, folks. It's probably just over about 1.5 meters, but I'm not going to tell you that for sure. Let me double check. Okay, so 1.7 meters at the shoulder for the big male. The female a little bit shorter than that. And they say they can get up to 1,000 kilograms, so about 2,000 pounds. I've had a friend who's weighed one before at about 1,100. That is an enormous animal. Enormous. See how he dwarfs those zebra. He's far behind them in probably a little bit more of a depression. But while we've been waiting for this eland to move through the open plains, we are being joined by a beautiful herd of elephant in front of us. Trish, indeed, the only predator that really is a risk to a big eland bull is indeed lion. Hyena, not really. Youngsters, though, are prone to being taken by leopard, but their herd structure just doesn't really facilitate that. It's not as easy, but when they are quite small, they are at risk for many of the other predators. But in general, once they are mature, lion is the only guy possible. But have a look who's coming to say hello. Have a look at all of this. We've just been waiting and sitting quietly, hoping they were going to come closer. There's a beautiful little family. You'll see, we're just on the road here. They're walking towards us. Hello, Mama. There's some vehicles in the background. We're not the only ones out in the Mara. You see how she's doing there with her foot? That is an elephant trying to make a decision. Should I go around? Should I go this way? So she's basically a little bit of indecision when they do that. Very important to understand that with an elephant. If you're on foot and you see an elephant do that, it means that they've noticed you and they're trying to make up their mind. And if you're in a vehicle, they do that as well. The best thing to do is to just stay put, not to start a vehicle, not to do anything at all, because then you force them to make a decision. Rather let them realize there's plenty of space to walk around us, plenty of open ground, and then they make a decision. But if you start your car or you do something on foot, stand up or make a noise, then you force them into a decision that maybe they would have avoided doing given the chance. But you can see, because she gave a little bit of indecision, that youngster walked on the other side of her from us. It's not that they're not relaxed, it's just that the youngster saw, okay, Mum was a bit unsure, let me walk on the other side of Mum, shall I? But now we've got the others that clearly there's no problem. The big matriarch is to the right of this whole herd, and she's not bothered at all. She's busy feeding, and all of the herd is connected to her through their voice. And there's lots of little low communication sounds that, well, we won't actually be able to hear, but she would let them all know if something was wrong. Little youngster. Big Sol, it is cute, this overload. It is indeed. It's about a 2-year-old little youngster. She's drifted off a little bit too far from Mum. Oh, there we go. That's what you do. That's an elephant showing us who's boss. I just love it when they do that. Shaking around the trunk. Here we go. Something's happened. It's okay, guys. You see how they've all suddenly moved towards Mum now? Kathy, they are extremely clever elephants. There's so many human traits that they portray as well. I'm not saying that humans are very smart, but there's so many emotional traits that we share with them. They mourn, they cry, they play, they get upset, they get angry, they're happy, they show grief, they show sort of, excitement when they see each other again. So if you've ever sat at the airport and watched people visiting or coming and seeing each other again, or it's one of those things, the hugging and the kissing and the smelling, all of that sort of stuff. Elephants do exactly the same when they've been apart for some time. There's so many traits that we can relate to. They're long-lived animals. They pass on their knowledge to their kids. Gentle giants. She is the matriarch, for sure, the biggest in the herd. And she's got a beautiful family. They're all probably been down to the river, have a drink a little while ago. Bob, probably about now, that little Ellie's starting to grow the tusks. They just haven't quite popped out of the face yet. You see, this one is probably about 4.5, 5. You can see where the tusks are already. So from 2, the tusks are already growing. They're just, depending on the genetics of the individual, they might not have yet popped out of their head. But the grooves are already there. Of the little youngsters, they just haven't quite come out yet. But they are actually a bit of a hindrance when they're really small, because the youngster needs to get its mouth right up underneath mum to be able to suckle on her breast. And if you've got these sharp objects sticking out of your face, well, it's very hard to do so. So for the first 2 years of their life, the tusks are not really visible because they need to be able to get right underneath mum. There we go. That's clearly mum. My mummy's the queen, she says. That's why she gave us such a little waggle of the trunk before, because she knew that her mom's the boss. And then when she did that and mum didn't come to help, she felt like, uh-oh, why didn't my mum come and help me there? Oh, she's following right behind. Mum's told her, you will step back in line, child. Stop making trouble with those two-legged things there. You see her right tusk is very well worn down. They're going to be walking behind the vehicle soon, but into some beautiful light. I'm just going to turn slightly. Paula, the elephants in the Mara, I don't think they're bigger than the Juma elephants. Am I okay there to go back? I don't think they're bigger, Paula. They could be slightly, but the females here are actually quite big. But you know, I think it might just be the landscape and the fact that we see them out in the open so much more, whereas down in Juma they're generally always sort of in the thickets. I think they're the same. They're genetically the same. They probably have a better diet up here. They feed more on grass up here, where down in Juma they go through sort of stressed times of feeding on more leaves and bark and branch material in the winter times. But I don't think there's too much in the way of a weight class or a size difference, to be honest. Although when I was in Malawi, we saw some enormous male elephants there, and the heaviest one, because they were capturing them and moving them from Kruger National Park up to Nkota. Prince Harry was involved with African parks, and they were darting the elephants as family units and then taking them through. They also grabbed a few boys, and they would put them on trucks. And when they put them on the trucks after being darted, a very professional operation, they were using a crane to pick them up, and the crane was able to weigh them. And surprisingly, 1 or 2 of the elephants weighed 6.7 metric tons. Now, that is incredible. I mean, most people think 6,000 kilograms is like the top sort of weight, about 13,000 pounds, top weight for elephants, but they actually get a little bit bigger than that. 14,000. It's incredible, I think. Absolutely incredible. But that, we didn't really notice the size, but only when we weighed them did we notice. But I think these elephants, very similar to southern African elephants, they are related. Same species, Loxodonta, long-toothed Afrikaner, African elephant. I'm sorry, Emma, you said what stressed them emotionally? Have a look at this one here. Sorry, James, this one ducked down on his knees to pick up the branch. Oh, yes, certainly. Sally, certainly. You see the elephants with grief. They actually do cry and they mourn their dead. They come back to the same place again and again where potentially one of their fallen has fallen. And you can actually see it on their face that they're mulling over and smelling. I think it's very, very similar, the grief that they go through. So stress, what is stress really? Grief is Is grief stress? I don't necessarily know if it's stress, but grief is grief, and I think they portray it in a very similar way we do. We go and visit our loved ones at graveyards, and we have memorial days, and we celebrate their lives, and well, elephants do as well. She's a little bit behind, catching up with the rest of the herd. We're going to get a beautiful shot of her now with the light. A little bit of a snack for on the road as she goes. There we go. That's the money shot right there. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Well, this is the Mara. This is just what it does out here for us. Isn't that marvelous? Well, thank you, elephant. It's getting to that time of day. Any of you were with me this morning, we found a den of bat-eared fox just over there. So we're going to go around the corner, see if we can follow up on them and see if maybe as it's starting to get cooler they might come out, because that was very, very special. But while we do that, let's go back on down to Djuma in South Africa to see what City's up to.
So this is now the time for me to look for Tingana around the Buffalo's Hook Dam. I've just got here now, and so far I am not seeing anything. I know this cat, he likes to lie down here under the tree, so I must have to look very carefully. He was not alone in the area. Oh, yeah, here. Here's the leopard. Here he is. Oh, we've got a leopard now here against the dam wall. I must have to reverse so that we can see him. Not too sure yet if it's Hosana or Tingana. We nearly passed him. He was so camouflaged. So we just got to this dam now. So I think that is Hosana. So we were going to where we left Tingana this morning. Oh, thank you very, very much for such a comment. I didn't copy that comment. If you can give me the comment again. Lind, I was not aware of the presence of Hosana here because we are coming from the Buffalo's Hook side. So we were lucky because of the water here attracting him. We were looking for Tingana. And I just went, oh, it's Tingana. Yeah, it's the one we are looking for. I left him somewhere deep in that area. But Hosana was also seen in this area going up this drainage line this morning. So we've got him at the moment. This is Tingana, who is just lying down there now. Afternoon, all stations. This is Sydney. I've got Tingana, Buffalo's Hook Dam. So you can see that now it's time to relax, and the sun is at the horizon of the dam. The dam wall is providing him with a very good shade at the moment. So the water by the Buffalo's Hook Dam is very much low at the moment. I am not seeing this water here for the next 1 or 1.5 weeks. This is going to be dry anytime soon. If the buffalo comes here, I can promise you there won't be water next week. This is too little. Yeah, Tingana is a lovely cat indeed. So this cat excites me a lot. I love Tingana. Look at his body build. And when he's sowing, it's phenomenal. He's getting irritated with the noise from the geese, and the geesling is there as well, I can see. So you can see that Tingana's stomach is still very full. The possibilities of conducting a hunt, they are very much low. Unless something comes to the dam, and chances is when he can take something. I'm just trying to listen to what is happening in the area here, just to hear if Hosanna is not coming or any other animal is coming to drink here. But it seems like it's very much quiet in the area. We have not seen him for quite a long time now. The last time he was seen, Brent saw him, I think it's about 2 days ago in the area. I'm not sure if the stomach was full already, but this to me shows that he has been eating a lot. The leopards, their diet is so broad. These animals' diet is consisted of animals such as birds. They can catch even this gosling here, or even the adults. We saw Hosanna trying to catch an adult a few weeks ago. So the chances are very much high. So now, while I'm still waiting to see who's going to come here, waiting Ghana is, let's go to the Maasai Mara, where Steve is having something at the moment.
Thanks, Sydney. Of course you would find your favourite leopard. The Duke himself, is he looking as full as he did this morning? Apparently he was looking quite rotund this morning, so was his son, the little chief Hosanna, but we have managed to relocate on 2 baby bat-eared foxes, and now having a little bit of a snuggle session. And indeed, it is a little den site just off to the right of where they are there. This long grass is kind of hiding it. It's so special to be able to find them. I'm super excited about this, and James himself is the one who spotted it this morning. Big James on the back of the car. If I didn't tell you the story this morning, I'll tell you now. I've said it a few times today and he's still laughing. I drove past because I'd seen a jackal a little bit further up, and I know how everybody loves jackal. And so I went past and James was like, no man, there was some jackal right there behind us on the road. Oh, there's some jackal running there now, James. A jackal den site is very close by, actually. Maybe we just get them while these animals are sleeping. The jackal den is within 50 meters of the bat-eared fox den. And so he said, no, go back, there's jackal there. And I turned around and I saw a den full of bat-eared foxes. I was over the moon with excitement. And well, there are the jackal not far away. So what a place to come. There's a place we're going to visit from time to time now, because why wouldn't you? Bat-eared foxes, jackal, and elephants are doing all sorts of wonderful things. The marsh is a place of absolute wonder and splendor. And you see the family of jackal. We'll have a look at them for a little bit. They're a little bit more active at the moment. And the bat-eared foxes, well, not so active. They kind of spend most of their time being active at night, interestingly enough. The jackal, well, daytime, nighttime, any typical dog, they don't stop, do they? So, at some point, yes, everyone's also very excited to be able to see this. So we've got a den of both, very, very close to each other, which I find very, very interesting. I don't really know too much about the competition between these two species, but there must be some. Surely they would have a problem with the larger prey or the larger predators, no doubt, because larger predators see a bat-eared fox and, well, I'll just probably try to kill it because they think it's something that's trying to steal their food. Tucked up, cold noses tucked into their little bellies, their very super big ears. Okay, well, seeing as our bat-eared foxes have not yet lifted their head to watch the sunrise, we'll send you to David, who's doing just that.
Well, yeah, the times animals just choose to be sleepy, but here we are seeing some beautiful western horizon with the sun setting. Beautiful magical colors. And any beautiful color you dream about in your life, that's exactly what they all are. We'll be quiet for 10 seconds to see it go down. And that's what our days are made of every day. Beautiful sunrises, beautiful sunsets. And that's the western horizon. Very good bouquet right there. If we just hold it there for a couple of seconds. Yes, and I'm happy that all of you are saying this is quite amazing and a very good way to end the day here before it starts getting dark. How lovely to see all those beautiful colors. And Kenya being on the equator, we are more or less 12 hours. Kala, thank you very much. You could not ask for a better way to end your day. And me and Bungei are saying our day has ended in style. In terms of daylight, we are still out here for a long time. But in terms of daylight, this is a good way to end the day on the western horizon. I'm not sure which could be my favorite color of all the ones I see there, but I would personally pick orange. Bungei, what color do you think would be a good one to take home? Bungei thinks purple. I'm trying to look hard for purple. A bit of peach there, a bit of yellow, orange, black, a bit of white. And Bungei now says gold. Now he has even seen gold. He initially saw purple. Now he's seeing gold. And sooner or later he might see another color that is not there. But gold now, I don't want to believe you. Purple, not very sure. But gold, Bungei, now makes a bit of sense. Sometimes when you listen to James Henry, he'll say the color of honey. And you know, the African countries I visit, honey has different colors. Sorry, Em? True. Oh, the colors are just wonderful, and that's why I've always said I would be happy to watch this every other day. All right, the sun goes home, and as the sun moves in that direction, I'll move in another direction to see if we might see something else. Fantastic sunset there, and let's find out what Tingana could be doing now.
So Tingana is still resting as we found him like that. So now I think he will be here for quite a while because the sun is very, very hot at the moment. But while we are here, possibilities of Hosanna to show up as well, they are very much high. So I'm not going to go anywhere. I'll be here enjoying the sighting of Tingana. So there's some birds who are making noise somewhere this side. Those are the lilac-breasted rollers. So I thought maybe it was an alarm call, but I can see that the lilac-breasted rollers, they are just trying to impress each other. I can see they're going high, they're going up and down. Lilac-breasted rollers, they also form this, what is called an acrobatic flight, when they go high up there in order to convince each other for mating and try to act as if they are falling down and get the level again. So they are right there. So it's just the two of them who are making that noise. So it's one of our common residents. They are here all year round. maybe they are not trying to charm each other. Maybe they are trying to chase one of the predatory species there. So you can see they're going high, up and down there. So these birds can make different calls. Oh, I saw one of the big birds that's flying there. Maybe they are against one of the big birds in that area. Oh, they are chasing one of the rollers, but it's a different species. I can see that one which is now flying in front, just that I didn't see very well what type of roller was that, but I could see that the lilac-breasted rollers are against one of the different species of rollers. So now Tingana is walking. I can see there, if you can just quickly get back. Let's see what he's thinking now. He is now walking much more towards that side. The chances of this cat to climb and cross over to the private properties, they are very much high. The direction he's heading to now is towards the Buffalo's Hook. So let's hope he's going to lie down somewhere up there. So I'm going to just follow him now and see. So now let's go back to Steve by the Maasai Mara at the moment.
Thanks very much, sitters. Well, good luck keeping up with Tingana. Oh, there we go. We've got some movement. Oh. Look at the size of those ears. Isn't that incredible? An insect must have moved. And they must have gone, oh, here we go. Here come the pups. Oh, I thought those were the pups. It just goes to show how small they are, doesn't it? That now suddenly the pups are coming out. Now we've got some movement. It's very cool. On average, they can have between sort of 3 and 4 pups at a time. Certainly, Emma, if you'd like to invite some more on board, you're most welcome to. A little bit of a yawn. Morning. Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Mara Triangle in Kenya. We are with a small little family of bat-eared foxes that are just starting to yawn as the sun is setting in the distance. Good evening, everybody. My name is Steve Falconbridge. I'm joined on camera by Big James. Please feel free to drop any questions and comments down below. But let's go back to these these bat-eared fox, my bad. They are very cute. We came across this den this morning. And, well, we just came across it now. The 2 adults were lying outside in a very curled up position, and they just moved, and as they did, the youngsters came bounding out. A little bit of yawn happening. Generally, you find 2 pups in a den due to the fact that they can have anywhere from 3 to 5, but the birth weights can be quite incredibly different. And sometimes there's actually some infanticide that happens inside of the den. Strawhead, the coolest creature ever, indeed. Look at those ears. It's time for a bit of grooming. And they are the small, probably one of the smallest canids that you'll come across, with their enormous ears, and the better for hearing you with. Tiffany, they are very cute and they are very relaxed. They're right next to the road here, so probably many cars drive past and don't even know that they're there. And in saying that, on our way here we saw 4 or 5 cars in front of us that hadn't even spotted them lying in the long grass, as it's mum and dad's turn to start grooming the little youngsters. No doubt before that mum and dad go on a little bit of a foraging. There we go. Come on, if I move in closer, maybe you'll give me a scratch, mum. And go on a foraging foray, and they feed primarily on insects, termites at night, beetles, shongololos or millipedes if you were, in the early parts of the rainy season, and they will feed on a small portion of rodents as well. Inge, this is the second time I've seen bat-eared foxes in the Mara, and this morning was the first time. We stumbled across this den site. Big James on the back thought we'd spotted some jackal, and we reversed back, and indeed it was not jackal, but it was these guys. And we know where the den site is, so I'm definitely going to be spending some time over the next few weeks trying to get some more views of them as these little youngsters start growing, because, you know, they generally breed in about October, November time, and it takes about 9 days for these youngsters to open their eyes, and after 6 months they are actually fully grown with regards to adult weight, but the females will only actually come into estrus at about 18 months. So very small canid, but reproducing quite quickly and growing up quite quickly. Oh, a little bit of a snuggle session happening now. It was all a little bit of a prelude to them getting up, but actually they're still a little bit sleepy. Oh, that looks very cute. A little Christmas bed there. How cute and comfortable does that look? A beautiful fur. If you don't understand where the name bat-eared fox comes from, well, they clearly look like a fox with the ears of a bat. And that is because they will listen to the ground, subterranean movement of rodents and beetles, insects, a lot of termites underneath the ground. Penny, I don't think they eat too much fruit. It's possible that they do. I'll have to have a look at that. But they are primarily an insect eater, feeding on a huge portion of termites. Beetles, they'll actually dig the larvae out from underneath the ground. Oh, and we've got a zebra and some Thompson's gazelle all around in the background. Plethora of game out here in the marsh, but no doubt, as most sort of small jackal-like fox animals will feed on certain fruits from time to time, I'm pretty sure they probably would have a portion of that in their diet, but being mainly an insectivore with a small portion of rodents and even the odd skink or lizard if they come across it. Well, it seems like these little foxes have gone back to sleep. We will be staying with them for the rest of, well, for a little bit longer in the show anyway. If you'd like to continue watching, we are still live for another hour or so. Please jump on board, Google Safari Live. We'd like to see you there. But thank you for your questions and comments, and have a good night. Welcome back, everybody. How cute is that? A little ball of fluff. The family all nice and congested together. Maybe not enough space in the hole for all four to be together, but definitely still some sleepy little foxes there. Quite camouflaged, in fact. I didn't see them this morning, but then I think I'd spotted the jackal in the distance. But no doubt these youngsters would disappear quickly into that hole if the Duke of Juma was to be around. I wonder what Sydney's thoughts are on the matter.
So you can see that now the Duke of Juma is sleeping. At the moment, he is enjoying some sleep. I am very happy that he's here now. At least he's grounded a little bit. I was so worried because when he is starting to move, I know chances of me to lose him are very much high. But when he settles like this, then this makes me very happy to be with him here. So this cat is normal. After eating quite a lot, he just go to sleep. This morning we left him sleeping, and now after drinking he's still carrying on sleeping. So this is when he's trying to build the energy and conserve the energy in order to use the energy if need be. So the hyenas don't really come after Tingana. I've seen hyenas on several occasions after Hosana, but Tingana, they don't really come after him. Maybe they are taking an advantage that Hosana is still young. They do sometimes threaten him, but sometimes you will see the hyenas just keep following the cats without having a kill, following just to see what's going to happen. So these cats, So now by the Maasai Mara is about the sunset at the moment. So let's go and see David when he's driving around the sunset.
Well, what I'm doing now, I'm heading towards the den of the waffles. And it has cooled off now. This could be a good time for them to be out and about. I've been away home for a couple of days. I just came back. And I'll be very happy to see Waffles and her 2 cubs. And then there was one other one that had a 1 cub, which was much smaller than the Waffles' 2 cubs, which was very playful. Hyenas are both diurnal and nocturnal, and I would say for me, the spotted hyenas are more active at night than during the day. So this could be a good moment, and should they leave the den, Waffles, chances are she will stay back in the den and let the other females either go out, and sometimes she may send them as the matriarch or give them instructions, go hunt and bring food for me and more so for the cubs. So I'm just crossing fingers I'll be able to catch up with them. I've met a few on the way, going about their business, but chances are Waffles and the other female that have the 1 single cub, most likely it could be, or they could be still in the burrow there. Remember, this is a very interactive safari we are doing. Should you have any questions or any comments, you can send them through using hashtag Safari Live. Alrighty, eyes open, just to see who else could be out. Good time for scrub hares. Some owls, like the martial owl, could be out. Leopards, if you're lucky. So let's all cross fingers for Waffles tonight. We still have like another 15-20 minutes. And this is basically her domain or her area where she hangs around or where she has a den. Alrighty, Waffles, here we come. They'll tend sometimes hyenas to shift base or to shift burrows once in a while. Like early this year we had some very big rains, and when that happened, all the dens were filled with water and the hyenas had to relocate to higher grounds because the dens, we had water coming in the dens and they could not survive definitely in those dens, and we had them just right in the middle of the road. Alright, it's time for Steve's animals to wake up as I head out to the Waffles. Let's take you back across to Steve.
How many of you are saying, oh, I want one of those? So you notice we've gone into the IR spectrum, infrared spectrum. The sun is set. We're watching it with David and it's becoming dark. And well, hopefully these youngsters will start playing shortly and the adults themselves maybe get up and do something. But the Afrikaans name in South Africa for the bat-eared fox is called the draai jakkals, which basically means the turning jackal. Although they're not a jackal, they could have been grouped into the same sort of family. Well, they are really, but the reason they call the draai jakkals the turning jackal is their ability to turn on a pivot. Kimberly, they're not a jackal. They are a fox, a bat-eared fox. They are part of the carnivore family, so they do fall into the same order, the same canid family. But they're not the same genus, no. So they're not that closely related. They've moved down more of the sort of insect sort of spectrum, not a scavenging sort of spectrum. And yeah, there are a lot of similarities, but they are not the same species or in the same sort of genus area, if that makes any sense. But they are at risk of being attacked by a jackal, but they are very quick. They can move very quickly, and they are able to turn completely at 90 degrees at full speed by pivoting on one foot and also by using their tail as a bit of a rudder and at the same time the tail is also able to deflect any predator that might be coming in. They are at risk of martial eagles as well, but by moving and dodging left and right and zigzagging towards a hole, it's not easy for a large predator in the sky to catch them. And even a predator on the ground is not able to keep up the same sort of speed and left and right turning until they obviously make their way back into their burrow. Hello, Lindsay. Well, there's not many foxes in South Africa. In Southern Africa, we've got the Cape fox, and then we've got the bat-eared fox. And you want to know about the niche and how is it they specialize. All of these animals, to be able to fit in to sort of the carnivore sort of hierarchy, need to be able to specialize in certain things. And most certainly the bat-eared fox has moved more into sort of the realm of the aardwolf and the sort of the zorilla, which is the striped polecat. And they are animals that feed almost exclusively on insects. They move around feeding on insects. They are still in the carnivore family. They still have the teeth to bite. They still have the ability to sort of be aggressive in that sort of way. But to be able to not outcompete or to compete too closely with an animal very similar in size and behavior, you have to switch diet. So the niche with regards to bat-eared fox and jackal, very similar with regards to habitat area, very similar with regards to den sites, but the difference would be in feeding. Kinquad, the noises that they make are actually quite interesting, and they're regarded as the quietest of all of the canids. And there's only a few calls that they really do, and I'm going to have to just go through a little bit because they talk about it in a lot of detail in the book. But they say there's only 2 really loud calls that they use, and they're mainly voiced in emergencies. There's some soft calls that they do just between sort of the mum and the youngsters, sort of like soft mewing bird-like sounds, sort of close to around the den, which are almost inaudible. Only with sort of microphones near to the den can you actually hear that. There's also some chirping calls, which are basically between the siblings in and around the den when they get a little bit sort of whiny looking for mum. There's also kind of a woof sort of hiss growl type of call that they'll also do, which is sort of like a soft warning call to anything that sort of is coming towards the den, and the youngsters will move. But none of these are really heard by anybody. It's only through studies where people have put microphones nearby that you will hear those. They're not the kind of sounds to kind of warn you off. But then also, when it comes to a predator coming close, I've been close to bat-eared fox den many years ago in Botswana, and I heard it growl, and almost it terrified me, in fact, because it charged and growled at me from underneath a bush with back of the hair raised, tail up in the air, all bushy. And I was frightened for a moment, and well, it did exactly what it's supposed to do. It caused us to turn around and move away, and then we realized it was actually a bat-eared fox that it was doing it. So a typical sort of growl, snarl that just makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. And that is obviously sort of to protect their youngsters. Anything that comes near their den site, be it jackal, even larger predators, maybe even a leopard, could fall victim to that kind of behavior. And then if they get bitten, there's a type of scream, distress call that happens when bat-eared foxes fight each other. There's a very sort of high scream, distress call. And then a high-pitched bark, which is a high-pitched bark called for when all the pups need to come back to the den if they've been misbehaving. But anyway, we're going to stay here with these little youngsters. Oh, there we go. She's up. And while we do so, let's go all... Oh, hang on. What's going on? Sorry, Emma. There's a little bit of action going on. If you don't mind, we'll just give it another moment. You can see the body shape now. I think there was some jackal coming nearby. I lost visual of what was going on. There were jackal nearby not so long ago. And you can see that their body posturing, they look like a small dog, don't they? Now, as soon as something happens that they need to warn the pups about, there'll be a little call. The pups will go alarming straight into the den site, and they will stay. There is a jackal just off to the right here. A little bit to the right there, James. There's a... yes, most certainly. A jackal, I suppose, if they were able to get towards or anywhere near these pups. Oh, there's a third one. How exciting. It looks a bit bigger, actually. That looks like a third adult. That's very interesting. That is a third adult. It's very likely that bat-eared foxes have got a similar sort of behavior to that of jackals, where you might get a sibling or a youngster that stays on another season to assist in the rearing of the youngsters, maybe even to stay around and to guard the den. And this looks like what's happening. But yes, all carnivores, unfortunately, will kill each other's cubs and pups if they get the opportunity. And that is why they are so defensive around the den site and will charge and scare anybody off. We've got the two adults in front of the car now. They are about to walk into the road, just in front of us. Sorry about my body there. Here they are. Such beautiful little animals. They're quite delicate, aren't they? You see how sort of small their tail is and their body, but as soon as they get sort of a little bit alert or aggressive, sorry about my head, a little bit alert or aggressive, well, everything puffs up and they double in size. That, together with a snarling growl, well, that will obviously make you a little bit frightened. I've seen their tracks before down in parts of the Kruger National Park. Never seen one down there. Seen the track. They're a little bit similar to a jackal, but squashed like a jackal track that's kind of been squashed together. There's the third adult. They're obviously going off on a foraging spree. The youngsters are all down back in the hole, and these three are going to go off looking for some termites right on time. If you're a nocturnal animal, this is the time of day you go out in search of food, and well, they're going out as a trio. Perfectly done. Trotting along as they go. There we go. Hopefully we'll see them doing a little bit of a sprint. That's a hyena. Ah, it's a jackal. Let's see what they do to the jackal. Is there going to be any interaction between them? And probably a little bit of standoff. The jackal's like, no, I know these guys, they bite. They snarl and growl. No, not too bothered. Maybe they know that they're neighbours. The jackal are right next door and they tolerate each other for the most part. Fantastic. Such special scenes we're having up here. A bit itchy. Okay, well, I'm sure these guys are going to be off to have some food, but it seems like the Duke is still with Sydney. Let's go back down to him.
So the Duke is still with me here. You can see now the sun is just preparing to set at any time now. I can see that Tingana is right on top of the dam wall at the moment, still sleeping, but where his head is facing is towards the private concession. And now, soon as the sun goes down, is when we will read his mind and see what he's thinking about. So these cats have got very good ears. You can see he's sleeping flat, but the ears are not sleeping. They are still functional and they can still hear. This morning, Tingana proved me something. When he's sleeping like that, if anything appears, he's going to jump, and as if he was not sleeping. So now he's just about over 13 years, and Hosanna is coming to get to 3 years in February. Anytime soon we might start seeing the conflicts between Hosanna and Tingana. So by this kind of cats, life is very difficult. In order to establish a territory, you must demonstrate. And in order to get the females, sometimes you must also demonstrate. So everything happening here, you must demonstrate the strength. Otherwise, you're not going to win anything. So now let's cross over back to Steve by the Maasai Mara and see if the foxes are still showing some jumping.
It's a baby central right now. There's a baby jackal with its mum. Let's come back to right next to the den site here. There's a baby zebra in the background, and the bat-eared foxes moved back to the den. There's the youngsters in the foreground, and all three of the adults have moved back. They followed that jackal back to the scene to see exactly what's going on with the jackal. But it seems that these are sort of cooperative neighbors that are quite enjoying being right next door to each other. You see, there's more interest there than anything else. You can actually see the jackal's also got quite big ears, but not the same sort of proportion that these bat-eared foxes have. There, can you see how that bat-eared fox baby there has got its tail raised, started showing a little bit of sort of agnostic behavior. Mrs. Grumpy indeed is a nocturnal nursery right here. But you saw the little youngster had its tail up. It was sort of starting to show a little bit of aggressive behavior, learning how it's supposed to look and behave when being approached. And that's what bat-eared foxes do. If they're being aggressive towards something, they pick up their back, they lower their head, put their ears down to the side, and the tail stands up bushy behind them, making them look really, really big with that growling sound coming through them. If you've ever had a very small dog growling and being aggressive, showing his teeth, you still are terrified of it because you know it has the potential to give you a proper bite. And so that's exactly what that behavior is all about. It's all about intimidation. And well, it seems like one of the adults wants to stay with the youngsters for now, while the jackals are prowling around and the zebras are grazing in the background. It's a marvelous evening we're having. There was some hyena calling not so long ago to our left-hand side, so imagine they came onto the scene. It would be quite a nice evening. Deja vu, I don't actually know what the rarest animal is in the Mara. This is the first time today that I'm seeing bat-eared foxes. Maybe David Gitu would know. He's spent a lot more time up here. This is his home. A lot more time up here than I have, so he might be the best person to ask. But a black rhino are considered rare and endangered. The southern ground hornbill across the continent are rare and endangered. And I suppose these bat-eared foxes are not rare or not endangered, but definitely not seen very often. They tend to not be in very high number in areas of high predator density. Oops, there they go. There we go. They're all out now. Something was moving in front of us here, James. I can't really see with my naked eyes, but they're going towards it. Have a look. See what posturing they're doing. Sorry about my car there. They're walking directly towards whatever I could kind of see. Oh, I could see zebra. That's what I could see. That is the direction that they are heading in. There we go. Got myself a bug. Munch, munch. That's where we're all going to be going in the near future, is insects for food. It's already happening. You can already buy insect bars and insect burgers certain places in the world. Katie, these babies are unbelievably cute, and those are the adults, and they're unbelievably cute as well. They're very delicate little legs. You can see they trot just like a jackal does. They walk a little bit more than jackals do. Jackals don't have the ability to walk. They're constantly trotting. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but in the distance the hyenas are calling. Cuddle, they are very fast. They are very, very quick. I'd love to see them running around. You can see the two youngsters with their babysitter. Going to be much more comfortable with one hanging around the den, and that's probably what happens from time to time. It's very well recorded in jackal, so why not in bat-eared fox? They're far less studied than jackal because they don't occur in as many places as the black-backed jackal. The black-backed jackal occurring in enormous amounts of the continent, whereas these are sort of isolated to the Kalahari, which is around Botswana and northern South Africa, and up here in the Mara Serengeti. Well, it has been a fantastic evening. Thank you for joining us. The bat-eared foxes have stolen the show, But thanks to David for finding some lions. Also Sydney for finding the Duke of Juma. What a way to end the show with such awesome little scenes up here with these little youngsters. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. We'd like to see you again every day. We are going to be live again tomorrow morning, the normal time. I'll be out with David and Sydney again. We hope to see you then. Thank you for your questions and comments. We'll see you again soon. Have a beautiful, beautiful night, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.